This is the Lifestyle Builders Podcast, Show 58, an intro to Couples and Entrepreneurship Month. Hi, Ariana here with a quick PSA about why this topic is so important to us. Tom and I know how challenging it can be to start and run a business, to take care of your loved ones, and on top of it all, to keep a healthy relationship with your spouse. It isn't easy, and that is why we created our Lifestyle Builders Mentorship Program. As a special offer during this very special Couples and Entrepreneurship Month, we'd like to invite you to get started with your first month of Lifestyle Builders for only $1. So if you, and your spouse is welcome too, need more strategy, support, and guidance in your business and life, plus people who truly care about you and will keep you accountable, sign up now at tomandariana.com/LBcouples with the code LBcouples. All right. Anyone else horrible at remembering your anniversaries?
I don't know if anyone's worse than us.
I bet you there's people out there worse than us.
I mean,
we don't forget our anniversary. We just don't celebrate it very well.
Well, I mean, like we've been on podcasts and we're on there like talking about being like couples and business and all this stuff. And people are like, oh, how long have you been married? And we both just look at each other like,
Yes, but I think the issue lies in the fact that we were together 6 years before we got married. So the question, if people ask like, oh, how long have you been together? We have to do different math than how long have you have been married? And then trying to figure out what each of those two numbers actually is.
That sounds really good. Here's my thing. We're together every day, and a date, even though a lot of people celebrate it, it doesn't matter to me because we have our whole lives together. So,
we're also not big on the gift giving scale. So
True.
Like on our love languages, we've taken love languages. We don't score. I think that's my lowest score.
I think it's both of our lowest score.
Gifting, whether it's receiving or giving. Sorry, family and friends.
Yeah. So when people hear that we don't give each other gifts like at
on
holidays
our birthdays,
or whatever,
at Christmas,
that is why.
Yeah. We also don't do anniversary gifts. Saves us a lot of money.
Saves us a lot of money. And here's the thing too. So on our love languages, we're big on like quality time and like acts of service. I think is your big one.
No, I'm quality time. You're acts of
Your quality time and acts of service.
Oh, I'm too.
I'm acts of service and physical touch.
Okay.
Well, we both have two that are like up at the top.
Okay.
It'd be good for you to figure this out.
I know.
Especially because we're introducing a brand new series to you guys.
We have a lot of personality tests that I have to remember. All right. Yes, we are here to introduce our newest series, which we're so very excited about. This kind of started as like a little seed, as Tom would say, this idea a while back. That's how
all my ideas start.
Someone was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if you guys like interviewed other couples and talked about some of the stuff that couples go through? And you're like, oh yeah, that would be really cool. And then, kind of just sat there and thought about it. And as we talked to more people, as we found more people, that couples aspect kept coming up because there are so many people that are in relationships in entrepreneurship, whether it's, whatever their dynamic is in the relationship, adding entrepreneurship in just throws a huge wrench into whatever kind of relationship you have.
Well, I mean, I just remember like when we first started the business, when I set that goal to retire by 35, I was out there. Like I remember I was actually at one of the sessions and people were asking questions. And my question was, how do I get my sports on my sports? How do I get my spouse on board with like real estate investing? And like nobody had an answer. And I'm like, oh, well, that doesn't help.
Nope.
And, as we've gone through the years, I mean, we've gone through like ups and downs in our relationship, ups and downs in the business. Like we became parents and, I just really didn't feel like we had any resources. And then even as we started working together, there wasn't a lot of like couples out there. Like a lot of the like, let's say influencers or entrepreneurs that you hear, they don't ever talk about like, do they have a family? Are they in a relationship? Are they single? And what we started finding was that the more we started talking about it, the more people started coming to us because there wasn't anybody talking about it.
Well, and some of the big name entrepreneurs that everyone recognizes have families, but their families aren't involved in their business. So it's, that was a different dynamic than we were looking for because we were all in all together.
Well, and I'll also say some of the big name entrepreneurs that you guys know have also gotten divorced.
Yes.
And that has likely happened because they didn't do a lot of the stuff they needed to make sure that their family was solid and foundational before they got into the business. And as we know, and as you guys probably know as well, business is tough anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're doing that with a family, especially if you haven't built that solid foundation, it just compounds that.
Well, and entrepreneurship ultimately changes you. So, I mean, if you and your spouse are changing and going in different directions, that's going to be really, really difficult for you guys to stay on the same page as if, you know, obviously we're in the business together, so we're hopefully growing in the same direction. But even then, that's not a guarantee. So it's really about staying in tune and like, what are some of the strategies you can use to make sure that you're constantly on the same page? You're not driving each other crazy. Everyone's doing what they need to be doing in business and in life. So let's talk about what Couples Month is, because I don't know. I guess I probably don't know because I don't listen to that many other podcasts, but I don't know how many podcasts do like special series randomly. Some do, I know, but it maybe not in the entrepreneurship space so much.
Yeah, there's not really a ton, but what we basically said was, you know, the more we talk to different people, and like you said, this started out where it's like, hey, we've got a couple entrepreneur couples that we know, maybe we'll bring them on because as you guys know, we bring on guests, you know, a couple times a month.
Well, we brought them on in the past when we did like our live show. We had a couple couples come on, which was really cool.
Yep. But as we started sharing this idea with other people, it just kind of spiraled from there.
Snowballed.
And people
Let's just say snowballed.
You're right. And people were like, that would be awesome. Like, you know, and then we started asking like, who else would you guys want to hear? And we had like most of the people were in our network, but we even reached out to people outside of our network. Mm-hmm. And what this ended up with was, I think essentially we have a new episode coming out every day.
I think it's actually, so it was going to be 5 days a week, but now there's a good chance it's going to be 6 days a week. We went from, our goal was, you know, I'll get 4 to 8 couples on. That way it's a new show every week or 2 new shows every week. So we're sticking with our normal episode schedule. And then Tom just kept finding new couples.
So here's the thing.
We're now at the time of the recording of this show, I think we're now at like 22 or 23 episodes.
Okay. If you guys know anything about us, when I get an idea, it's go big or go home, and we're just going to go all in.
He's not lying.
So that's what we did here because, and I'll tell you, as we started talking to more couples and as we started talking to more people about this idea, it was just like raving response of like, yes, you guys need to do this. And yes, you know, these are like a lot of the struggles we face. And, you know, that tells me that there's a big need for this out there, not only because we couldn't find anybody doing this, but also that there's a lot of people that are in, you know, these situations where they don't know how to pull it all together and make it all work. So our mission for this special Couples and Entrepreneurship series that we're doing next month is all around pulling back the curtain and letting you guys hear not only from us, but from a bunch of amazing entrepreneurial couples on what it really takes to start a business, you know, have a successful marriage, have a successful family, and make it all work in harmony together to really be a lifestyle builder and build that life that you crave.
Yeah. And I mean, these couples are from all different dynamics. And one of the things that I love about this series is that right there. So it's not just couples like us where we both work in the business together. There are also couples who have their own separate businesses, but are obviously life partners and maybe married and maybe have kids. There are also couples where one spouse is the entrepreneur, the other spouse isn't. So those ones are really interesting because, you know, we're bringing people on that aren't entrepreneurs and we're getting that whole different perspective. We've got couples who have been in long-term relationships. We've got couples that have been married for, 10, 20, 50 years. We've got couples that are parents on top of that and even grandparents. So it's really going to hopefully give everyone out there a really large pool to pick from of people that might be someone you can relate to and say, oh, well, my spouse and I are this, and we have these situations that we're dealing with. Like, hey, come and find a couple that is similar to you, because I promise you we have done our best to find lots of couples. And I mean, the series has blown up to more than we could have ever dreamed of. And I think we're most likely going to continue on even after this month and keep bringing couples on, because it's just so important for you guys, for us to see other couples, for the other couples in the series to find other couples. Like, it's a big couples party.
Well, and part of this too is every couple is going to be different based on, whether they're working together, whether they're parents, like
life
all of
experiences.
that. But what you guys are going to find, especially if you go through and you're listening to all of these different episodes, is you're going to start to find these common themes or common threads. So it's like, it doesn't matter if you're working together or if you're not. It doesn't matter if you've been in a long-term relationship or if you're not. These underlying threads and principles are things that anybody can and should use as you guys are going to build your ideal life.
Yeah. So we already talked a little bit about why we did it, but I think diving into that a little bit more, we know how hard it is to manage all of this stuff. We knew how hard it was when we were trying to do it, and we couldn't find any resources out there. So I think, part of it is so that we're getting this information out there for other people to find. So even a year after this series is over, we have a place for somebody who's looking at how to get their spouse on board with their business idea, or, hey, we're trying to work in business together. Like, how the heck do we do this without driving each other crazy? This is going to be there for people to find and to listen in and to use some of the strategies. And I mean, honestly, some of the takeaways from the guests of, what they wanted listeners to take away from their episode have just been amazing. Like, I want to put them all in one spot so that I can just read them over and over again.
I was going to say, who knows? This might end up being the basis for a book at some point or other things, because as we said, there's been a huge need. And, we've talked a little bit about our story, if you guys have been listening to the podcast, and we've tried to be very open, but, we realize that there's even stuff that like we haven't shared, oftentimes not because, we wanted to like hold anything back.
It's just because we suck at sharing.
Yeah, it hasn't come up. But, as we talk to other couples, what's been cool is that this wasn't just like us interviewing them. So it's not
it was a conversation.
We're just going to nail you with questions and see how it goes. For every couple, what we've been looking at is basically saying, what is the unique thing that this couple brings to the table, and trying to really call that out and dive deeper. And at the same time, then it also kind of brings out pieces of our story as well. So like, there's probably been like 3 times where we just had like a really tough conversation, and, the question came up, like, do we just stop doing the businesses? Because like for us, the marriage and our family was the most important thing. So if you've gotten to that point, you're not alone.
No.
And guess what?
Other people have said the same exact thing.
Yeah. And I mean, even things like, you'll hear it as we go through some of these episodes, we go to a marriage counselor, and we don't do that because like our marriage is terrible and is like falling apart. But we do that because that's so important to us.
Because we're investing in our relationship, which it shouldn't be taboo to do that, but I think it is. And that's one of the things that's really important for us to share with this message of couples and entrepreneurship is like, you invest in your business, you invest in people to train you when you go to the gym or to help you eat healthier or whatever it is.
Well, you're supposed to just be a natural when it comes to marriage.
Yes, and marriage is hard. Marriage is work. Being with somebody for the rest of your life is just, sometimes you have really bad days, and you need to have that support system and to know like, it's not because you're a horrible person. It's not because your marriage is falling apart. It's just because that is life and that's normal. But there are things that you can do. There are ways that you and your spouse can grow and learn so that you don't have to have such hard days, and so that you can lean on each other instead of being pissed off and wanting to be rooms away in the same house.
Yeah. Well, and, so our theme that we set for this year was to put us first. And what we realized over the last couple of years was that, between starting businesses, becoming parents, both of us leaving our jobs, we kind of, the us time, like what we used to have, kind of slowly got shifted away. And if you're not being intentional about that, like it can kind of become non-existent. So what we really started focusing on this year was individually, like our health, our mental health, our physical health, our relationship, like making sure that we're carving out time to have like date nights, making sure that we're having time with just us and not always having the kids or always having the businesses. So we've done a lot of that stuff this year. And what we've found is that, not only has it made our relationships and our lives a lot better, it's actually made the businesses a lot easier, because if you have a solid foundation at home, it makes everything else then easier. And not just easier, I think it actually like elevates everything else in your life.
Yeah, for sure. I think, we forgot to mention why we talked about having anniversaries in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
I just realized that. We're celebrating our 10-year anniversary in September.
Ironically, we just talked about how bad we were with remembering our anniversary.
And we forgot to mention that that's why this month is happening in September, because we're also celebrating our 10-year wedding anniversary.
The proof is in the pudding.
Anywho, what you guys can expect from this series is a new episode every day, if not, almost every day, technically, even weekends, maybe.
By the time this comes out, it'll be every day.
No. And then if you are not already subscribed to the Lifestyle Builders podcast, make sure you head over to tomandariana.com/couples to jump into this specific series. So if you're subscribed to the podcast, you'll be getting the notifications of these new shows anyways. But if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date on every new couples episode that's coming out, plus maybe getting some freebies from some of our guests and some special gifts along the way, make sure you head over to that site, tomandariana.com/couples, to sign up there. Yeah. What else we got? Lots of valuable takeaways. I talked about it earlier. Every time we have somebody on, we ask them, what is the one thing you want people to take away from this episode? And because there's 2 of them, there's 2 from every episode. So make sure you are listening into those gold nuggets, because there has been so many amazing takeaways and lessons from the guests that we've had on so far. And I mean, we're only halfway, maybe a little bit past halfway through the guest list.
Well, and I'll tell you, the episodes and the conversation's been great, but I'm blown away by just about every person when they give that kind of final recommendation at the end. I don't think we've had too many like repeats.
No.
But like every time someone says something, like you guys will probably see it, I'm just like, yep. That's really good. But the way I look at this is, instead of figuring all of this out on your own over multiple years, a lot of like how we had to, we're combining this down into like a 30-day couples MBA, where it's like you're just getting all the lessons and all the knowledge so that you guys can use this and build on it. And those actions at the end of every episode are just gold.
And what we need from you as a listener, sharing is caring, my friend. So many people can benefit from these lessons that we're talking about with other couples that they're pointing out. So if you know anybody that might benefit from hearing this series, please do share it with them so that they can get those takeaways and lessons as well.
Yeah, and this is a big one, because the whole point, as we said at the beginning of this, is to be able to let people know that, you're not alone and they're not alone. And we come across new entrepreneurs, new couples every day that feel like they are. We come across, couples that have gotten divorced, really a large part because of the business. And, we just hate hearing those stories. So with this series, what we're really looking to do is to get this word out. So if there's somebody that's an entrepreneur that, even if it doesn't, even if it doesn't look like maybe they're having challenges, like I promise you they are. And if this is you, the whole point of this is to be able to help you guys out, let you know you're not alone, and give you some actionable tips and other couples to reach out to lean on, as you guys go through building your business and build your life.
Yeah. And then the other thing we need from you is, as always, we need your feedback. So we can only improve this show and what we're offering you as listeners if you let us know what you love about it. What things do you think we could add in or improve about the show? I'd love to know what lessons you personally took away if you listened to each episode. And then what else could we add in, or would you like to see more of this series, like of couples interviews? So if you're listening, pop down and leave a comment from wherever you're listening in.
Yeah, well, and one of the kind of like skills or hacks that I learned years ago was the best way to learn or to amplify your learning is not only to take away what you got, but to ask other people what they had. So what we're looking at for you guys is to all help each other out. So if you're leaving a comment with your biggest takeaway, you're now then going to be able to read other people's comments of their biggest takeaway. Mm-hmm. So now you might have listened to the same episode, but the non-entrepreneur says, oh, here was my takeaway. And then you're like, here's my takeaway. So we can all even add our own gold in there by commenting and sharing our takeaway.
Yeah.
And then the final thing is we want to hear from you guys. Like, did you enjoy this series? And is this something that you guys would like us to bring you in the future? Because I'll tell you, it is a lot of work.
Yes.
You know, finding these couples, coordinating, like you can imagine couples that have businesses and families, tough to get all the schedules coordinated. So we want to make sure that this is valuable to you guys. And if it is, we'll continue doing it. But we can only do that if we hear from you. So reach out. You know, you can go to our website and contact us. You can leave a comment wherever you're listening from. But let us know. Do you enjoy this? Do you want to see more of it?
And again, the site that you can go to see all of these episodes as they happen is tomandariana.com/couples. You can subscribe to the couples series there. You can see, you know, other resources about couples and entrepreneurship. You can see the books that we're going to mention on our bookshelf for today. So all things couples can be found at that.
You might even be able to get on the pre-order list for our book, which is coming out next year.
That's right. I forget. How do I forget? I'm in the midst of writing it.
I was going to say, yeah, we're knee deep in writing it. I think you like pushed it out of your mind.
I'm in denial. All right. So speaking of the bookshelf books, we actually have 3 today. I apologize in advance, but these are 3 really, really important books that have kind of helped us along the way as a couple, as people married and working together, as parents. So the first...
I need to call out that you broke the one bookshelf rule and brought on not only 2, but 3.
Coffee cup man. This poor book has a coffee cup stain on it.
That shows that it's used.
The first is The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work. This book is by the Gottmans, and this has been essential in Tom and I's communicationship in the marriage. Our marriage therapist uses this as well in her teachings.
And everyone we've talked to where we've talked about marriage and improving the relationship, I mean, this book and their work comes up probably like 9 out of 10 times.
Yes.
So this is like the go-to book. And what was cool about it is that it's based on like, you know, studies over the course of 30 years. But it's not all like pie in the sky. Like every chapter has actionable like activities that you can do to, you know, improve your relationship and all of that. So it's been a really critical thing for us.
Yeah. The next one that Tom's been reading through is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families. So a lot of you may have heard of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, but he has this version for families. So it's based off a lot of the same principles, but it's how you can apply them to your family life. And that one's really been helping a lot as well. Just, you know, having conversations with the kids. What are your family values? All of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is one of my favorite books. It's had such a big impact on me and becoming just a better person. And so with this book and taking all the same principles, which are solid, and applying it to families has just been truly amazing.
And last but not least, one of the books that I've actually read, this one helped me get a better idea of what the other perspective looks like, and it's for better or for work. So this one has a lot of case studies about different couples and different life experiences.
Well, I feel like you got to read the subtitle to that one.
Oh, a survival guide for entrepreneurs and their families.
This was legit. This was one of the books I bought years ago when I was looking for like, how do I get Ariana on board with this? And how do I make her kind of understand? And when I read it, it was written by the non-spouse. So the
non-entrepreneur spouse.
Or yeah, the non-spouse.
It's an oxymoron.
Yeah. So, but when I read it, what it helped me realize was how that non-entrepreneur spouse looks at things. And it helped me start to have some of these better communications with Ariana.
Yeah. And it helped me kind of hear from someone else all of the things that I was thinking and like, yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, I totally am feeling that. But then they also did a really nice job of kind of walking through like what was in the entrepreneur's mind. So it gave me a little bit of both worlds so that it helped kind of bridge the gap between us a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think we've given them enough books.
I was going to say, and so obviously if you guys want any of the links or the books or anything else, you guys can go to tomandariana.com/58 and get all of those resources.
Yep. And we will probably also put these on the couples page because it is of huge importance. So yeah, both of those. /58 or /couples, you'll find everything you need.
There you go.
All right. It has been another great episode with Tom and Ariana, your hosts and lifestyle builders.
And as always, I want you guys to remember it's your life, your business, your way. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Hey, we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you know another entrepreneur who may benefit from hearing this show, we would so appreciate you being a good friend and sharing it with them. And just a reminder, as a special offer during this super special Couples and Entrepreneurship Month, we'd like to invite you to get started with your first month of Lifestyle Builders for only $1. Sign up now at tomandariana.com/LBcouples with the promo code LBcouples. Are you a Lifestyle Builders podcast fan? We'd love to hear from you. Head on over to tomandariana.com/iTunes and leave us a review.